All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the November Showcase. Today we have a progress update as usual, but only from 2 projects. And we'll kick off with the Wildlife Watcher. Our project objective is building a smart AI camera that will detect, recognize, and take good quality images of all animal species, and also providing a pipeline and workflow for the user to process the footage and train new models. As for the progress, we have been focusing on getting the hardware and software field ready, and Charles has done an amazing job at designing the new PCB and aligning it with the case design. Now it's on its way to the manufacturer who will assemble larger numbers of PCBs for field testing. And the case design is also finalized, and Nick, our case expert, is just waiting for some final components to arrive before he starts printing the cases. Sorry, 1 second. We also have a complete end-to-end process for training and uploading models, thanks to Tobin and Will. Tobin will walk us through this process in a quick demo in a second. And the mobile app work is progressing with Adash. As you heard at the last showcase, the majority of the flows have been done. There's just the final push to get the app into a usable state, and a few changes that we have to make. And finally, in terms of the user guide, we have the content ready. We're now just doing final reviews and adding pictures and making it look a little bit more user-friendly. And now I'll pass on to Tobin for a quick demonstration of the machine learning models, training and upload. Thanks, Tobin. Do you want me to stop sharing?
Yep, you can stop sharing. I can just share my screen. No worries. Cool. I kind of wanted to just step through the whole machine learning pipeline for what we have. So what I'll be going from is the position that we have a model trained. So you've gone through, you've trained your own custom model and you're ready to deploy it. We have, I'm just going to hit build at the moment to get it going while I'm chatting. But essentially what we're building is we're building a custom block, and we're targeting for a custom block because our device doesn't quite handle model deployment like we want it to. So Edge Impulse does support HiMax and their processors, which is good. And there is, if you search it up, there are different options like the Neural Network Accelerator. You can target it for that, or you can also target it for the WiseEye board, which is the hub of our Wildlife Watcher device. However, the caveat with that is they target it to be coupled with the firmware both times. So you either embed it inside the firmware or you tag it to the firmware to then upload it to the device. So for a short answer, HiMax has added support for it, but not quite the support we need for a user that needs to go through and just upload their own model without having that firmware coupled with it every single time. So that's why we've chosen for the custom block, and I'll show you why in a second. But yeah, from here, you can see I hit build. It was super fast. That's a new version that we just built, so it only takes a couple minutes. We target it for TensorFlow Lite and then quantized int 8. That's just what that's what tensors we allocate to our model. And that auto prompts our custom zip folder. From there, our goal is to try and keep it as easy as possible. So we have it as a custom format. And to be fair, it's probably worth me showing you the custom model is everything. It's a whole bunch of, so you can do what you want with your model post-processing. So you can see there's our TensorFlow model. So there's our trained model. And then we also have like model parameters where you have header files, and they have all the useful information to our project. So project ID, all of our labels, all of our version numbers and everything, but it's within C code. So what I've gone ahead to do, and me and Will, sorry, what we've done is we've written this web interface that does all the hard work for us, and we just have a user select simple folders and then does everything under the hood. So if I hit browse file, and you can see I've just trained V25, I just select that, it uploads it, and we hit convert. That pretty much just extracts the useful information for us and then spits out what's considered our manifest folder. Now the manifest folder is going to have our model and labels, and then also we could add like configuration data and things. So you can see here VLA conversion is successful. So that's targeted for our neural network accelerator on the device. And then noteworthy here is the labels. We're getting them in an array, which is just easy, rat and not rat, because it's our rat detection model. Cool. So that's happened. We can hit download there, and that just downloads my manifest folder. And if I open it to show you guys, you can see that it's pretty simple now. It is just labels and our model. Cool. From there, all we need to do is just put that on the SD card. So if I've got my SD card here, all I need to do is just spit that manifest zip folder on there, and I can plug it into the device. Now, at this stage, what we're probably going to do down the track is make this from the mobile app. So our mobile app, the user is going to open their device, their app on the phone, and then they, via a button click, can transfer this information across. And that'll happen via the Supabase cloud. But this way works for now, and it's pretty straightforward that it's just drag and drop onto an SD card. Cool. From there, we go to the fun side, and this is the device, and this is how it's talking to us. So I'll wake her up. You can see I just hit the reboot button, and it wakes up, and it initializes everything, and then it goes into a deep power down mode. Now, which is DPD. So right now the device is in, it's pretty much lowest power as it can, but you can see I woke it up then because I actually moved my hand. It's on motion detection currently, and you can see that I have a model loaded and it's giving us some results. What I'll then do is I'll put our device into Bluetooth, and then we connect it via our mobile app. So I booted up the app, and I'm just connecting via BLE. And via a command, or for the final product, it's going to be a button press. We're just going to select what model we're interested in, and then we're going to send that via a Bluetooth command. So I've written it out, and you can see on the screen now, it's erased the model that was currently loaded. It's copied the model across to from the SD card to flash memory now, and then it's going to go back into a deep power down mode. Now, when it reboots, we can see that there's rat and not rat instead of those 10 lines that there were there before. So it's pretty much 4 steps to achieve a model loaded onto the device from Edge Impulse. But these green and red ones are what we're interested in. That's our new model that's been booted onto the app, and now it's stored in Flash. So even if I hit reboot on the device, it's always going to be there. So yeah, it's mostly going to be under the hood, which is nice. And we can see that with the Streamlit website already and everything, we're starting to make things that it's tracking really nicely. But all of the structures there and the functionality is there on how to transfer models. And then we're just going to integrate that into the iOS app, into the mobile app, I should say. And yeah, keep it tracking from there. So that's the demonstration. Does anyone have any questions, or do we want to hold out for the end, KK?
No, we can take questions if anyone has any.
I have a bit of a silly question,
yeah.
Which is, I imagine you have a lot of examples of not rat. And so I was wondering if you have like a pet rat or a rat picture or something, if you ever wanted to output a rat.
That's actually one of the challenges that we're trying to think of, testing scenarios. So as we collect data, we also got to train a model accurate to its deployment environment. Currently for rat, we don't have that test environment set up. Charles and I have been testing it primarily against human recognizable features because it can look at us. So some face detection models, some rock, paper, scissors models, and some hand gesture models and things like that. So that's how we've been testing the model success for loading. And then looking at the actual rat detection model, we still need, that's still in the pipeline for how to properly test that.
Any more questions for Tobin? Thanks, Kalini. No?
Cool, thanks guys.
Well, thank you, Tobin. And it went smoothly, which was super lucky. So thanks, Tobin, for getting into a stable state. We know how those demonstrations sometimes go, so well done. It's really good. Perfect. Let's move on to the next steps for Wildlife Watcher. There's one big step basically that we're trying to achieve, and that's having a few beta versions of cameras ready for field testing. So we're finishing up all the work that I mentioned before, just to achieve that. And then we'll be focusing on shipping all the equipment and user guides to the partners and helping them with the setup and with the field testing, getting feedback, etc. And that is it from the team. Are there any more questions from anyone? No. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Kalindi, do you want me to keep sharing the screen? Yes.
Yeah, I think it's easy. So yeah, welcome to the Spyfish Aotearoa update. You can go to the next slide, and this is just the objective as usual, which is streamline and automate marine reserve reporting with machine learning, citizen science, and all that. You can go to the next slide. So yeah, I guess one update from the last month is that I went to the Living Data conference, and I basically had a talk which the title was automating marine what I learned while automating marine reserving, but I guess the real title, and you can go to the next slide, is why data cleaning. Basically, if you remember from our milestones, basically I think every time defining when writing out the milestones, I think that cleaning legacy data is always there. So maybe I can share a little bit more what this means, or why that is important, or what's happening under that line. And that was basically also the talk I shared there. This is a bit of a like a little version of that. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So I guess the first question is why we monitor marine reserves in the first place, which is that when we have if we have data about the efficiency of the marine reserves, then we can influence policies and try to create new ones or expand new marine reserves. Actually, there was some new marine reserves being opened around Auckland, right, recently. So I guess good job. I mean, not sure if it's because of Spyfish, but it's always good to have new marine reserves and see things happen. And so like some of the benefits that are being measured is, for example, there's bigger fish or more fish inside marine reserves, or even sometimes outside because of spillover, or at least like slower decline in both places inside the marine reserve. And these numbers are not important just for conservation, but also fisheries, as mentioned, like because of the spillover, then they can also catch more outside of marine reserves. And this process is very intensive, especially the analysis. And so what we are doing, and if you go to the next slide, is just translating the process that existed before and making it like trying to make it faster, the whole thing. And if you go to the next slide, basically how we're doing this, especially from the cleaning data cleaning point of view, is so all the data or before was basically because there's all these marine reserves around New Zealand, it means that each team had their own videos on their own hardware and their own Excel sheets, and then trying to bring all this data together sometimes would take quite a while. Also just to create these reports, especially if one wanted to make the big picture reports. And a few things we did is made sure that all the teams had the same like naming standards, and also brought some maybe consistency through the different like data sets that exist. And also, as mentioned before, there's some apps that now people that the rangers now use in the field instead of using just like paper. So that, and the apps have some fields that are like required, or they tie into data that is already there, so there's less option for mistakes or just like little mess. And one thing we also discovered is that it's important to have video files that are uniquely identifiable, because as we take it through the pipeline, it's easy for things to like get a life of its own maybe. So if it has a file name that is identifiable, then it's really easy to tie it back to the original data, and I'll mention it in a moment as well. And then having centralizing all this data was also an important step, because now it basically stays in one place, and it's all like all the surveys, all the deployments are in one SharePoint table, and meaning that it's that insights can be taken out very easily, and also all the videos are in one place on AWS. And then and also the way we set the data up it reduces the repetition, because before, I guess, each Excel sheet and each row of the Excel sheet tried to kind of have all the data in that line as well. But now we're having this relationship between the tables, which should kind of cover this. And if you go to the next slide, this is like a simplified version of the data we have and the relationships between there. So there's the marine reserves, and each marine reserve has surveys that happen yearly or every 2 years. And then each marine reserve has a few sites, so basically locations with a targeted latitude and longitude. And then when rangers go out and drop the cameras, these are deployments. And then once we have the videos, we can get the annotations out of it, and the annotations basically reference the species table. I underlined the drop ID, which is created by the survey ID and site ID, because that's basically what we use for the video file names, because then it means that at any time, any point, when we look at a video, we can easily know where it's where and when, like which year and where it was recorded. And then if we go to the next slide, I think one interesting thing or takeaway, yeah, maybe I wanted to say something else as well, which is sometimes as technologists, we think of like this big solutions, or like let's build a machine learning model, or let's do all these things, but then sometimes we get wins already from the data cleaning itself, or for example a dashboard. So by having a dashboard where this information is just displayed, we can get some insights even before we do all the analysis for the reporting. And then also we're trying to do some validation early on, like as soon as we get the data, we can check if it's like some of the relationships between the tables, or like if the data is formatted in the way it is. So we get a lot of potential errors. We like flag them before way earlier now than just at the reporting point. And for example, one example of how a dashboard can help is showcased in the next slide. And this is also a task for you, which is what's wrong here. So to give you a little bit of a hint, these dots are basically deployments. So I think the red ones are meant to be inside of the marine reserves, and the blue ones are outside the marine reserves, so control sites. So each dot is a deployment. Any ideas? Okay, another hint. So this map, the dark part is the sea, and the light part is the land.
That's what I was going to guess. I was going to guess, is it land?
Yeah.
That was my first thought. Is it the Marlborough?
Actually, I don't know where it is. That's a good point.
It looks like the Marlborough Sounds coastline.
Nice. Yeah, but basically now we can just, like, you look at the dashboard and you're like, oops, something's wrong here. This is like marine reserves are not on land. And so this is something that is like a really fast message back to the to whoever's looking at the dashboard, and then we can go back to the rangers and be like, this would be just like a little shift, probably like some sort of decimal problem or some other issue with the with just the latitude and longitudes, and then it means it can get fixed much faster than, like, this is something that would have popped up before while writing the report, whereas now it pops up right away. Yeah. Sweet. I think this is pretty much it. If we go to the next slide, I think it's just questions. Yeah. So I guess the point of the talk or this was just to say that sometimes also, like, it's good to think about the wins that we get by with also like simpler / straightforward. They're not that straightforward actually, because we've been doing the cleaning for a while, but yeah, it's good to see that even though we have not finished the process of the whole pipeline, there are already some wins that we can look at. Thank you.
Question about you were talking about the centralized data and using it to look at results and trends. Is one of the project goals for you guys to train multiple species recognition or identification? Or what are you doing with that data that you're kind of, the big group data that you were looking at?
Yes, so the goal initially is to train it for, I think, a snapper and cod, but eventually also for everything else. But we don't have as many annotations for the other data. So in the annotation tool now, we will be able to create more training data for those things. We're still exploring the models and also like looking into what kind of fish like object detection models even exist, or classification models, because it feels like it should be quite simple and straightforward and transferable from land, but it's actually more like it's not as it's surprisingly not at the same place. Like, you would think it's the same, but it's not. Yeah. But there's some developments, like people are trying to create like a mega detector for fish as well. Well, for underwater. So like collecting a lot of data and training the models on that. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Kalindi. Next, Tobin. Any more questions for Kalindi?
Or Victor.
Victor. If no more questions, Victor, I'm not sure if you have anything to update on Wild about AI. We don't have a presentation and Tash is not here, but is there anything you wanted to add?
No, I am all good on Wild about AI. I'm still looking for more schools. It is starting to become summer here, so there's a bit of a break, and we will be reaching out to schools so that they can have the Wild about AI course for next year.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks. that's it for the showcase, I think. Thanks everyone for contributing. I'll stop recording quickly.